Hello and welcome back to Bamboo Batu here on YouTube, providing tons and tons of free content all about bamboo, my favorite plant, and hopefully yours too. If you love bamboo, check out my website, bamboobatu.com, BAMBUBATU.com. Hundreds of free articles, lots of good content, lots of good information. And of course, it'd be great if you could subscribe to our channel and show your support that way. And let's get into it. Today, we're talking about the Mozambique bamboo workshop that we did about a month and a half ago, back in mid-October 2023. It was a sensational, spectacular, fun-filled event, about 2 weeks down in Mozambique. For those of you who haven't studied your African geography recently, that is in the southeast corner of Africa, right above South Africa, right below Tanzania, right across the water from Madagascar. Big country. It's got more coastline than the west coast of the United States. In other words, the coastline of Mozambique is longer than the stretch from San Diego to Vancouver. So it's a big, it's a big country, a lot of coastline, beautiful beaches, as you can see here in the picture. The sandy beaches, very soft sand, very conducive for temporary artwork, which will be washed away by the waves, but will leave a permanent mark in our memory for many, many, many years to come, because it was a great event. And so I want to tell you all about the event because we had such a good time and it was enjoyed by all. And I'm sure I will be overlooking certain features and aspects and individuals who were participating because there was just so much going on. So I apologize in advance for anyone who's been left out of this attempt to provide a comprehensive, inclusive recap of that event. But it was about 2 weeks. Started in the capital city of Maputo, where we did some presentations for some local government people and whatnot. This is my good friend Eva from the South Spain. She was presenting on some bamboo construction topics. She actually got into bamboo because she's been involved in humanitarian relief projects in sub-Saharan Africa for many years, helping to build refugee relief camps and things like that. Really amazing person, amazing individual, doing incredible work. And in the course of that work, she discovered that bamboo was an exceptional resource for building these low-cost temporary shelters for refugees. And so she got bit by the bamboo bug, so to speak, and she's been in love with bamboo ever since. So now she's promoting bamboo for these low-cost structures across Africa and for humanitarian relief projects. Just some really amazing, cool work that she's doing. And she was also leading some of the more interesting building and design and architecture workshops uh, during this during this event in Mozambique. So her presentation was one of the more interesting ones I found for sure. I did a presentation on biochar in Maputo while we were there. One of my favorite topics when it comes to bamboo, and there, there's uh, there's a big crowd of people who already know all the other things about bamboo or just about everything. So the biochar is kind of the little niche where I fit in and provide some special insights that not everyone else is so familiar with. So I like talking about all different topics of bamboo, as you probably noticed from my YouTube channel. But at these events, I often talk about biochar, and that's what I was talking about in Maputo. Another great presentation was from my good friend Natalia, who had a very unpleasant trip from Germany to Mozambique, but eventually she did arrive, and she came straight from the airport to the event. Didn't even get to check into a hotel or anything. Came straight there, went right on stage, and started talking about bamboo shoots without missing a beat. It was truly a spectacular achievement and a spellbinding presentation, as always, from Natalia, who knows so much about bamboo shoots. It's almost scary, but it's always an appetizing presentation when she gets started on bamboo shoots. And so that was definitely interesting and impressive for a variety of reasons. So those are a few of the highlights. You can see in this picture here, that's Paulino. That's the back of Paulino's head there on the right side. He was one of the key organizers of the whole event. It was hard to get too many pictures of him because he was just zipping around from one spot to another, taking a phone call here, organizing a meal there, organizing accommodations over there, and he was uh, he was everywhere and nowhere at the same time, just organizing amazingly well this event that brought together so many people from so many parts of the world. He lives in Germany, and he was able to somehow coordinate this event in Mozambique from a long distance. He did spend. I mean, he's from Mozambique, but he lives in Germany most of the time. So most of the organization took place remotely from Germany, which was an astonishing feat in itself. But he pulled off an incredible event. So big kudos to Paulino right there. I think there's more pictures of him elsewhere, but just in case, I just wanted to point that out. Let's see. The next day, we moved from Maputo. We went down to the coast, down to a little resort village town called Ponta de Ouro. Beautiful seaside resort. Just sandy beaches as far as you can see. Lots of little beach bungalows where people could stay. Some nice restaurants. An incredible place to host an event. So this is where most of the action took place. And this was the day one of that. I did another presentation for a different group of people, focusing on biochar and charcoal. And then later in the afternoon, we did a little demonstration, produced some charcoal, as it were. It was pretty interesting. This particular community is, they didn't know very much about bamboo, which is why we were there to tell them all about it. And as far as their purposes and their way of life and what they do, the most useful aspect of bamboo for them was going to be charcoal production. They cut down, I forget how many trees they say they cut down every couple months to produce their charcoal, which they use themselves and they also sell. But we did some math and we figured if they planted about 3 or 4 or 5 hectares of bamboo, they would be able to source all the charcoal that they needed from that bamboo farm, instead of going into the forest and cutting down trees, which are becoming more and more scarce and harder to come by as the forest resources continue to dwindle and dwindle. So that's what we're one of the things that we're promoting there was a more sustainable source of charcoal. And so we did a demonstration, and that worked out pretty well. And then there's again, there's Paulino on the right with the orange hat, overlooking the process, and the the tall German guy in the middle, with a black and white striped shirt and no hair. That's Jorg, another great character that I met during this week. Lots of great people there. Lots of new friendships made, and just want to give a shout out to Jorg, who's a big promoter of bamboo across Africa. He lives in Tanzania, and he's created a WhatsApp group for bamboo people in Africa, and he's created quite a network, quite a community through that WhatsApp group. One of the amazing things that he does. So big ups to Jorg over there. So yeah, the charcoal worked out pretty well. Later in the week, fast forwarding to later in the week here, there was some barbecue with, yep, you bet, it's bamboo charcoal, and it worked out well. I'm not so much of a meat eater myself, but everyone seemed to love the barbecue chicken, and so that was great. I think it was the day after that we did some field work. We went out to Paulino's farm, and a couple of women from the bamboo and local forestry research facility. They were doing some demonstrations on bamboo propagation, and this is one of the bamboo propagation methods, lying the bamboo poles down horizontally in the dirt and then just covering them just barely. And then these bamboo shoots will produce These bamboo poles will produce fresh shoots coming out of the nodes there, and it's a real easy way to propagate bamboo. I think they're propagating some Bambusa vulgaris here, which is an especially easy species to propagate, especially by this method. And so, yeah, some real interesting demonstrations there. You can see lots of people gathered around, listening, learning, taking pictures. It was a real great coming together of bamboo lovers, as it was throughout the whole week. um, Later that day at the same location, Natalia was getting busy digging up some bamboo shoots for culinary purposes. As she was talking about bamboo shoots in that previous presentation, she does have a knack for bamboo shoot selection and preservation and preparation and harvesting. So the soft sandy soil here was just perfect to dig through, made it real easy to dig up a shoot. It wasn't the best time of year for digging shoots, so there weren't too many available, but she did dig up some here from, I'm not sure which species of bamboo that was, if that's Hamiltoni, or we did harvested some Balcoa as well, but the Balcoa, as I recall, was not such a tasty one to eat. So this might have been Hamiltoni. They also had some Abyssinica there, but I don't believe we harvested any Abyssinica. In any case, she did an excellent demonstration on how to harvest, how to cut it, cutting it properly to get just deep enough into the soil to get the right amount of shoot without damaging the rhizome. Some really great knowledge on bamboo shoot harvesting. And then later that day, we drove to another site and enjoyed this spectacular view on the way there. Gotta love the big African skies, the big savanna, and then driving back later in the evening, the landscape looked more like that. So nothing to do with bamboo, but it was a beautiful thing, and I had to share those pictures. What I really like about this picture is because we're way down deep in the southern hemisphere, the moon is rotated to look like it's on its side, or if you look closely, it looks a little bit like a smiley face, which I thought was super cool. I shared that picture with friends and family in the northern hemisphere, and they were equally impressed. In the northern hemisphere, the moon was in the same phase. The moon phase is the same throughout the world at any given time. In other words, if it's a full moon in the southern hemisphere, it's also a full moon in the northern hemisphere, just for those of you keeping track. So this sliver of a moon we had in the southern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere, it was also a sliver of a moon, but the sliver was rotated about 90 degrees, which is pretty cool. So we were sharing pictures of that. Anyway, good times. So back to the bamboo. Another presentation on bamboo shoots. Not surprisingly, Natalia loves her bamboo shoots, and she could talk about it all day, and the audience could listen all day because it's fascinating. And so there was that, and then there was the preparation of the bamboo shoots, which is even better than listening to someone talk about bamboo shoots, is actually watching them prepare them and then smelling them and then eating them. So that was a big highlight. The local community there was not so familiar with bamboo shoots, but they were quickly convinced. They were quickly convinced by the demonstration and the delicious preparation that Natalia made. And then we served it up in some salad and a couple different preparations. And it was, surprisingly easy thing to prepare. And people were pretty surprised that this was edible, and not only edible, but quite tasty. And so that was a lot of fun. Fun. And then moving on to the next day, I'm not sure which day was which. It got to be kind of a blur because there was so much fun going on all week with bamboo and sandy beaches. But this was a site visit that we did. So we were pulled away from the workshop for a day. We drove up the coast for 2 or 3 hours north. Still in the very southern part of Mozambique. It's a very long country, so we didn't get that far north, but 2 or 3 hours driving along the beach on the sand. It was an epic adventure. Many details, which I won't share with you here today, but take my word for it that it was a great adventure. And so my friend Nico from South Africa and his cousin, they've got some land here in Mozambique where they're planting bamboo, and they have been just kind of goofing around, experimenting. He kept telling me they had no idea what they were doing, and they wanted an expert opinion on what they were doing. And we got there and thought, you know what, you guys are doing a pretty good job for a couple of guys who claim not to know what they're doing. Um, it was a small scale operation, but they'd been collecting bamboo cuttings from the wild. There's actually a surprising amount of bamboo growing wild um, down there in the more tropical, wetter areas of southern Mozambique. And so they'd collected a few different species, and they're propagating them on this small plot of land. I think it was only 5 or 10 hectares, right along the beach, just on the other side of that sand dune in the background. That's the Indian Ocean over there. So lots of sand. Not optimal conditions for growing, but bamboo is resilient, and they had 3 or 4 species all doing really well. I've got a whole video about that somewhere else. If you scroll around on my channel, you'll find a quick little breakdown, 5 or 10 minute breakdown of that whole project. Natalia was there as well, scoping out the propagation area. You can see their propagation is quite successful. Everything is sprouting and shooting. They've got lots of vulgaris. I think they've got some Balcoa. I think they've got some Hamiltoni. I might have had some some Bambusa, Bambos, a thorny one. I'd have to double check my notes for all the different species, but they had a few, and they were all growing quite successfully. It was a great adventure. Great to see the kind of bamboo success people are having in unexpected parts of the world. So this was a real great adventure for us, and for the 2 guys with the farm there, they were super happy to have us show up and give our 2 cents on what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong, how they could improve it. And yeah, super interesting. And then on the way back, driving back another 3 hours, we stopped somewhere else and just did a little impromptu presentation on, hey, let's talk about bamboo, because that's what we do. We travel around and we tell people about bamboo. So these guys wanted to hear about bamboo, so we pulled off into their village and talked about bamboo for half an hour, and that was fun and rewarding. And a lot of talk about charcoal. Again, I think this was a fishing community, and so charcoal would be important for them for cooking and smoking their fish and things like that. So yeah, definitely a good time. And then back to the workshop. We had more days of building and architecture type stuff. There was a lot of that, as these workshops tend to have a big emphasis on how to build with bamboo. A lot of people come just specifically for the building workshops, and I actually missed out on a large portion of the building workshops because the building isn't my specialty area. Although I would have been really interested to participate, but I got pulled away to a couple site visits, like that one with the guys from South Africa that I just mentioned. So that took us away from one building workshop, and then there was another building workshop which we missed for some other activities. But here's again my friend Ava doing a little bamboo model. Um, um, Amazing stuff she does. And here's some other bamboo building like a geodesic dome of sorts with some bamboo strips. You can tell everybody's having a super good time. There's Paulino in the on the left there with the red hat. He's got a different hat in every picture. Interesting. And people are getting stuck inside the dome, having a good time. That's Jaime Pena in the background there with the light hair, in the top right corner. He did some incredible presentations, some of which I missed. One of them I was able to attend and found extremely impressive. One of these days, I'm going to have to interview him on my YouTube channel because he's a fascinating character and doing some really cool stuff with bamboo. Amazing architect, and his philosophy behind bamboo architecture it's really far out, and I can really get into it. It's really cool. So we'll delve into that in another episode. And here he is again. That's Jaime in the green shirt, and he's having a deep connection of some sort with this gentleman who showed up at the workshop. As you can see, many deep and profound friendships were formed at this event, and here is a snapshot of one great friendship in the making. Um, these guys really saw eye to eye. There's something very special about that picture, so I just had to share that. And here's some more building, construction workshop celebrations. They put together this nice arch. That's Paulino in the middle doing some pull-ups to demonstrate the strength and stability. There's people sitting on top of it. It's a super solid structure. Guessing they built that with some balcoa bamboo, the super thick walls, very strong structural bamboo for building, and it was a species that was quite readily available in this area. Yeah, some great uh, construction training sessions for sure. Definitely can't wrap this up without mentioning our good friend Rowan from Zimbabwe. He, it took me about 24 hours to get to Zimbabwe to get to Mozambique from Spain, because I had to travel like something like halfway around the world to get from Europe all the way down to the southern end of Africa. Um, doesn't seem that far, but if you look on the map, it turns out it is extremely far. It was a long trip. So coming from Zimbabwe, you'd think it'd be a lot closer. Zimbabwe is right there next to Mozambique, but it actually took Rowan just as long. It took him 24 hours. I think he took public transportation, a bus here, a bus there, a bus there, a bus, and then he finally got to Mozambique. And he brought all kinds of equipment with him, his laser printing um, toolbox, where he could do laser engravings with your name or your logo or whatever on the side of a bamboo cup or a bamboo keychain. And he was making all kinds of cool stuff like that for people at the event. And he had a really cool setup, and he's just got a really good vibe. He's just a great guy. I interview him on one of our bamboo dialogues. This was a few weeks ago, so if you scroll around on my YouTube channel, you can find my conversation with him. Um, Super great guy, doing some really cool stuff with bamboo in Zimbabwe to promote bamboo cultivation, to promote reforestation and job creation with different bamboo products and ideas. Real enterprising guy. He calls himself the bamboo-preneur. He is an entrepreneur of bamboo. Um, yeah, amazing character, and yeah, great human being. Rowan from Zimbabwe. On the table there, you can see some of the other products that we were showcasing. Those green bottles, that's stuff's called Ulanzi. It's a bamboo beer, which my German friend there, Jorg, brought that down from Tanzania. An interesting beverage. There is another interview between me and Jorg in which we consume a couple bottles of that stuff. And yeah, we had a great conversation around that. Super fun. So this was, I think this was near the end ish of the workshop series. We had like an exhibition day. This was on a Saturday. We set up kind of along the main road there in the village, and we were showcasing some different bamboo products. And we had some media attention. We had some guys from the TV station came out, some people from the newspaper, and Natalia was the spokesperson for the event, and she got to be on TV in Mozambique, which is a great claim to fame. And that was really fun. And then the next day, our event was in the newspaper, the local paper. That's a photo of some of the bamboo construction that we were doing. So all around, well attended event, well enjoyed by all. We got some local media attention. We got recognition from local government, local businesses, local fishing villages. There was a high level of participation and appreciation for these workshops, and it was a real pleasure to be there. The last couple days, I had to cut out early to get to another site visit where Natalia and I went to visit the what was this? The Forestation Forestry Research Center of Maputo. So back to the capital city, where they were doing some research with a variety of different forestry related research and a bit of bamboo. It was clear that this facility was extremely underfunded, and the fact that they were able to do anything there was somewhat remarkable. But they're propagating some different species of bamboo here. They have some abyssinica, they had some Hamiltoni, they had some strictus, Dendrocalamus strictus. We made a few different videos of some different bamboo species here. They had some Balcoa as well, and yeah, there's a couple of specific videos with some specific species. But it was great to see the work that they were doing. Here we are examining a nice clump of. Thinking that's Balcoa there. I believe, but it's hard to tell in that picture. Um, and then we examined many different clumps of bamboo and had a good time trying to figure out which species was which. It's a tricky thing to identify bamboo species. They all look pretty similar to the casual observer, to the untrained eye, and even to the trained eye. It takes a few minutes to wrap your head around what species you're looking at. This was this was definitely some Balcoa, Bambusa Balcoa. Um, it's got those super thick walls. It's really good construction quality. It's got lots of branches all over it. It's kind of a messy one. This particular clump definitely needed some cleanup, some maintenance, some pruning, but it was doing pretty well considering it was getting no attention, no fertilizer, nothing really in the way of maintenance, and yet it was thriving here in Maputo at the forestation research facility. So we made a nice video about that. We also made a great video about this clump of Dendrocalamus strictus. You can tell we're having a super good time. It was an incredibly educational and rewarding, satisfying trip to Mozambique. And we're hoping to do more of these bamboo trainings elsewhere in Africa and anywhere else in the world where people want to learn about bamboo, and invite experts in various fields of botany, construction, um, biochar production, et cetera, et cetera. It's a pleasure to provide these trainings, and we look forward to doing more of them. If you want to know more about it, shoot me an email. Uh, Links are down below in the show notes. You know where to find me. And that's all for today. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.